Hello digital builders. In this video we'll look at some examples in the Python tutor of pass by value and what we mean by pass by value. So in this program that we have here, we're going to define a function called f. We create a global, in our global frame we have access to that function f. Not sure what it does just yet, but we'll keep an eye on that. We have a global variable called val, which is assigned the value of a. Notice that you can, in Python, declare strings as single quotes or double quotes. And the Python tutor just uses to put that in double quotes. That's just the Python tutor doing that. Don't worry about that too much. We can print before and print the value a. But now we're going to call f on val. Right? So the argument to this function will be val. We're going to copy what's stored in val and have that be stored in the local variable x. Let's see what happens. So we make a new frame. We call the frame f. F has a parameter called x, and this a is copied over here from value into x. And so the a is copied from value and stored in x, and there's two of these now. So there's two different copies of the a. That one is stored in a local variable called x, and one is stored in a global variable called val. If we then have a line of code like line 6, and line 6 says x gets the value b, that will change the local variable. And so the local variable in the frame of f now stores the value b. So when we print this out, we're going to print out b. Once this function ends, it has no return statement, so the Python tutor says our return value is none. We go back to the line of code after the one that called this function, and that's line 12. And in line 12, we try to print after and then val. What we notice is that val never changed. Val stored the string a, and even though we copied a into the local variable x, and we changed the value of local variable x, that did not change the value of the global variable. That's the lesson there. Let's show you one more example of this. It's not a good practice to reuse names in your code. You should try as much as possible to not reuse variable names, but sometimes it happens. And when that happens, if we have one global variable called x and one local variable called x, you might think when you're running your program that it's the same x, but it is not. Let's run this program. In line 4, we declare a global variable called x in our global frame and store the value a in it. In line 6, we define a function f and store that in our global frame so that we have access to it everywhere. In line 10, we print the value of the global variable x. That's going to be a. But then in line 11, we pass the value that was stored in the global variable x into a local variable x. And so now we have two different x's. We have a local one in the function f, and we have a global one. And right now they both store the value a because that a was copied from the argument into the parameter. Let's see what happens when we change the value of x to b. That's going to change the local variable x to b. That's going to print out the b. Remember that our return value is none. And when we go back to the line of code after the line that called f, and we try to print out the value of x, it's going to print out the same a that it printed out before. Right? Even though we made changes to the local variable called x, as far as the Python interpreter is considered, that is a totally different variable than the global variable x. And so you should keep in mind that even though we don't want to use the same variable names as both local and global variables, if you do that in your code, Python will consider them two different variables. Okay, thanks for watching this video, and I hope that you keep in mind how to pass by value in Python. That idea of passing by value means that we copy the value from the argument into the parameter, and that a copy is made. Thanks for watching.